Hi, this is Alex. You might know my mom, Heather, from Shine.fm. This is the Shine.fm Momcast. Take it away.
Welcome to the Momcast. I'm Heather from Shine.fm Middays, and it's been a little bit. Coming back with a bang. If you have teenagers or any type of middle school to high school, college students in your life, this is definitely the podcast for you. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Atticus, Heather's son.
Yes. How old are you?
I'm 17, senior in high school.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit because I feel like we've had some really good conversations recently that have been super helpful to me. And I think for me, when people would see that we had kids, they would be like, oh, just wait till the teenage years. And I always thought, well, what's going to happen during the teenage years, you know? And so you and I've talked a little bit about the fact that things have not always been easy. There are times when you don't want to talk to me. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what's going on in your head when you're in the living room on your phone and I'm in the living room just kind of staring at you?
It's a lot to be like personable and sociable all the time when there's just a lot of stuff that I'm trying to figure out, you know? Mm-hmm. And then I come home after school and I'm just like running through my day and it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And I just kind of want to decompress and not have to think a lot. Mm-hmm. And to have that conversation with somebody and like know that you're not being very nice to them, like I'm not, in the back of my mind, I'm just like, I should have this conversation with my mom. I should, you know, I need to be
right.
that kind, good person, whatever. But
right.
For me, it's just like, I'm just like mentally exhausted. I'm just done. Like, I don't want to deal with anybody. And it's not about who is there. It's just like, I just need to decompress,
okay.
You know?
So what are you facing at school? Because we chose public school for you. You're a senior this year, but what are you facing at school, academically, socially, that's causing you to come home and just feel like that?
I think it's just that there's all this pressure, like from like schoolwork and making sure that you're on top of things, and then friendships. There's just this dynamic there that's such really like complex and difficult, especially since like as a high school, you kind of have to just deal with it, you know, like you're just thrown into the high school and you're just thrown into the middle school and you just have to like figure it out, and nobody's gonna really tell you like this is how to act and this is what to do. You just like, you make mistakes, and I don't know. It's just a lot of pressure, it feels like.
Okay. Academically, you have a very rigorous schedule. I'm going to be honest about that. You have 3 AP classes right now. You're also the drum major of the band. Talk to me a little bit about what it takes for you at school to not only socially survive, but also get through some of those really hard classes.
For me, a lot of the time, it's just like keeping my head down and just doing but a lot of the other times it's just me complaining about that class to other people, you know. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably just like taking time and doing the stuff that I need to, instead of just thinking like, oh, I need to do this and like in the back of my brain and then forgetting about it, or, you know. It's just knowing that like this is important and I have to like, it's just consistency and doing it over and over again, and that's what gives you good grades, you know.
Right.
And it's like, me personally right now, my calculus grade is a B, like, and I'm not happy with that.
Right.
And that's because I haven't done my homework and I haven't practiced, and it's like, I just complain about the class. So it's just about like trying to enjoy part of the class, like figuring out what you like about that class. And then when it gets difficult, just be like, this is why I took this class, or I'm doing this for my future, or, you know, have some reason to make it positive.
Right. And you had kind of mentioned to me that you were considering doing something to help you, particularly with that class. Yeah.
So I was wondering if like some of my friends could get together in that class particularly and just work together to try and figure out some solutions, because it's just kind of difficult for me to understand the topics, and I think it'll be very helpful if there's other people like keeping me on track and just making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be.
Okay. So let's go back just a little bit about like how, you know, you come home and I pelt you with questions, or dad pelts you with the questions. For us, that is about trying to like connect with you and engage with you. So what are some ways that you think that we've done well in that? And what are some ways that you think that like we could have done something different in just connecting with you as a teenager?
I honestly don't think I've ever thought about it like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's your guys' fault at all. What I was just thinking is, like, school is just, it's this, we're trying to shape you. We're trying to make you into a good worker, you know? And when I come home, I just am in that mindset of, I don't want anyone telling me what to do anymore.
Okay.
You know, I want some freedom.
Right.
And when I get home, you're like, well, not you specifically, but dad more is like, can you do this? Can you do this for me? And he starts out with those things.
Right.
And that really is, frustrating. But it's just hard for me to ask of you anything to like change. Like, it's hard for me to say, oh, this was good, this was bad, when I know your reasoning behind it. I know you're just trying to make me better, But maybe like, I like that you come out first and is like, how's your day? And how was this? And like making me feel like you really care, because you do.
Right.
But I also get the fact that dad just wants me to do stuff, and then you'll know how to have a conversation with me when he respects me enough after I've done those things.
Right.
So it's like, I can see the reasoning behind both, and I appreciate both.
Okay.
So I don't think that one is like better or one is worse. It's just maybe the mindset I'm in that day. And even recently, I've just like, after going to my grandpa's house, like, I need to be the person that I am around my aunts and uncles, the person who's just respectful of their father, respectful of their mother. Those things need to be instilled in the house too. It can't just be a one-time thing.
Right.
And with dad, I feel like I need to just do what he says. And that, him saying that over and over again is finally like getting to me and just being like, just do it because he said so.
Yeah.
But I still appreciate when I come home and you're just like, how was your day? And if it was really bad, then that gives me an outlet to actually talk about it.
But there's sometimes you won't.
Right.
Because there's been specific times where I can tell you're upset and you're like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that? Like, is it that you don't necessarily think I would understand, or like you're still processing, or like you're embarrassed, or like all of the above? Like, what's going on because I feel like there's times when I want to be there for you and then you're like, no, we're not talking about this.
Yeah. I think it's half just I want to be upset, You
just want to feel the
terrible.
feelings,
yeah,
right? Yeah, no, it's not terrible.
And then I think half of it is, none of it is that I don't think you'd understand, or that I don't want you there for me. I think that it's just like, for me personally, I'd like to figure it out alone. I want to solve my own problems. I want to be independent, me being an 8 or whatever.
You're an 8 on the Enneagram, just so everybody knows.
Yeah. Knows what it is, but just like my strong personality, my will, like I want justice, and I want me to like be able to do that.
Right.
And I want to figure it out myself. Like, because I think it's a thing for me is like, I want to feel like I'm intelligent enough and like responsible enough and adult enough, like,
for
that's
sure.
Probably stupid, but it's
no, it isn't. No. I mean, where you're at 17 and on the cusp of like, I think that totally makes sense. Yeah. And I think that's what's hard is that, and I was just telling someone this recently, that like when it comes to parenting, like they need you. And then all of a sudden there's one day where they don't, but you still feel like you should say stuff. And so I think it's a balancing act for me, because there's times when I do really feel like you want my advice. And then there's other times where you really don't, because you can do it. And I have to be sensitive to both of those times. Like, and I think especially with Alex, who's our 20-year-old, there are so many times where she literally just wants me to listen. She's smart enough to figure it out. And so it's just more about like what you said, feeling frustrated and wanting to express that frustration. And everybody needs, that outlet. So the other day you said something to me about brain development.
Right.
Talk to me about how you see like a 17-year-old Atticus and his brain development.
Okay. Well, for some context, I've been reading this book called A Symphony in the Brain.
Okay.
And that's really spurred me on to just like being aware of stuff like that. And I don't know, for a while, like when I was 15 or 13, I felt like, because I was aware of other people and I knew like their capabilities, like you specifically, like you're very kind and compassionate, and it's just like I just didn't understand how you could just kind of suffer through this and be like, I'm gonna be kind no matter what, and then as a 15-year-old I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting this. It's just like I understood, and I understand now, there are barriers mentally that I just can't. There's a point where I just break down, and I can feel that especially like in my classes certain days, like say I'm sick or like I have a cold and I still go to school. It's just that day, ooh, it's bad. It's just hard because mentally there's just so much going on in my brain. I just shut down.
Yeah.
And that's just super tough for me, because it's just, I understand that my brain's not fully where everyone else as an adult is.
Right.
I'm not 25 like they say, oh, males, whatever it is 25 years old, is that
right.
full brain development. For me, it's like, I understand that there's going to be a point where my capabilities aren't within the reach of whatever I'm trying to do.
Interesting.
And that's frustrating, obviously, but it's like, there's nothing I can do about it except, keep growing up, keep aging, whatever. And then, eventually be able to, like at my grandpa's house, like that, I could feel that I had a good impact there. And I felt like that I could work through the night with, my dad, because we stayed after people left.
Yeah.
And then I got up in the morning and I went out with you guys. And I don't feel like I would have been able to do that as a 15-year-old and understand the importance of that, of being able to be like, I'm the youngest here. I need to be pulling my weight, and then be able to say, oh, I'm young enough. I can, stay up late and get up early.
Right.
When Dad was like, I know my capabilities. Like, I need to go to bed.
Right. Well, and just to give some context to that, so your grandfather, my dad, passed away about 8 weeks ago, and he was a big farmer, and there was field corn. We as a family decided that we would go and we would pick that field corn and we would bag it just like he would do every year. Then we would kind of finish the job for him and honoring him that way. The other two kids, your brother and sister, couldn't be there because of work and other school commitments, but you came and took your day off and you got up in the corn hauler and you helped, but again, I think but we also didn't send you out there. We weren't like, oh, go work and we're going to sit in here and, talk. We all went out together. And I think that's one thing that I hope that we have shown you is that in a lot of ways, at least I hope that I'm not willing to ask you to do something I'm not willing to do. And so you've seen that modeled for you as a parent. Talk to me a little bit. So I found this super interesting. You're the only one of our kids that has done this. You have not been on social media, not Facebook, not Instagram. You were on Snapchat, and we let you do that, I think, at 15 because of a sport. And it was just recently that you decided to take yourself off of Snapchat. Why did you at 17 make that decision for yourself?
Well, it felt like a lot for me. It felt just like another commitment at that point where it was like an after school activity where it was taking up so much of my time to just have these friendships. And I did value them. And, there's a snap streak. It's like, oh, this fabled thing,
right,
whatever. But
yeah, right.
There was just a point where I was like, if you really care enough about me, just text me. Because texting is not the best. It's not like a call or like talking to them in real life, but it's like that to me is a lot more being able to just have a conversation with me. And that makes me feel loved. And that makes me feel like someone cares about me.
Yeah.
Is, like what you're saying earlier is I came home and then you're like, hey, how's it going? Like, that's exactly what I want from a friendship.
Right.
I want someone there to just, listen. And then I can listen for them. And with Snapchat, it's like,
it's just a picture of your face.
It's just a picture of your
pretty
face,
much, or a picture of something. So.
And that's like, okay, that's fun, that's fine, whatever. But it's just like, I don't know. It wasn't fulfilling at all. And that frustrated me. And then I realized I was just like, that day, I just remember I was super upset about just friendships and like people that I had lost and just like people who maybe had graduated, and then I still had them on Snapchat or like Arena, she was a transfer student from Spain and I just had her on Snapchat. I didn't have her on text and that just kind of fell apart and now we just don't talk anymore. And that's just really disappointing to me.
Yeah.
And I just kind of saw that and I was just like, this isn't worth it. And it was really hard for a couple weeks because it felt like I didn't have any friends, because I was used to having all these, like I had 30 friends on whatever it was on Snapchat.
Right.
But then I realized it's like, those aren't my friends. They're just people who send me a picture of their face.
So what does friendship at 17 for you look like?
Well, I've realized like as a guy, it's really hard. It's really hard because you can just kind of follow the crowd if you want to, and you can have some friends and you can have a friend group and make some jokes or whatever. But like for me, I don't want that, and it's just not, again, it's not fulfilling. So I found like a couple friends that like one of them does not agree with me on a lot of things and we have very different views on things, but the thing is that we're still friends, and that I think is really important. And I think that's a defining friendship for me, is that to still have compassion for him and to still like love him just as much as my other friends. And even then, like he's changed my mind on some things. Yeah. And I've changed his mind on something. So it's just like I think that's really important. So just to find people, like I know this as a guy is not easy, but to find people who will be emotional with you, and it's not going to be like the first time you hang out. It's not going to be the first month you hang out. Right. It's probably going to be like you find this person, they're going to be really weird, and you're going to be like, I don't know if I want to hang out with this person. But then you realize you're really weird too. Right. So it's like, there it goes. And with like two of my closest friends, like we would just stay up late and we would just talk to each other, and it would get really deep because at that point we have no filter. We're so tired.
You're so tired. You just lay it all out there.
Who cares? But it's just nice to have people who understand you and are willing to like step up for you. And that's what really matters for me.
You never decided to get on Instagram or Facebook. Why?
Facebook's old.
I take offense. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just totally kidding.
I'm kidding. I don't know. Facebook it's just like a lot. I feel like it's a lot for me to understand. It's like that thing where like really old people don't know how to use smartphones.
For sure.
And I just don't know if I want to like, or like starting a movie. Like you have to get really invested in it to actually understand what's happening.
Right.
And Facebook, I feel like that's too much for me.
Okay.
Instagram, I've thought about it, but because like Alex and Seb are on it.
Right.
My two siblings.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's not.
I don't know. Yeah.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, my two siblings are on it, and that's kind of like maybe drawn me to it, but I've never, I don't know. Again, it's kind of like complex, and again, I feel like I just spiral with the like Snapchat thing of just finding people, oh, this person, that person. I'm friends with whoever. It's like, no, you're not.
Right.
For
it's
me,
not
it's
about
like,
real friendships.
I'm not friends with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what you see in social media, like through your friends. So obviously you're not on social media, but you are on YouTube. You do play games. You know, I mean, it's not like you're totally immune to. You and I send memes back and forth sometimes. So it's not like you're totally off the grid when it comes to. You have a phone. You have a smartphone. What influence do you see? Well, first off, let's just say you didn't get a phone until you were 15. And then at that point, it was because it was COVID. And I don't know if we would have made that decision or not at that point. Your sister got one because she was in multiple things and then she was driving, but you and Seb kind of got them about the same time, and that was during COVID. And I have to say, I think COVID radically changed our household, not just because we were all here, but we had to change the way that we allowed you guys to do things. Up until that point, you probably remember there wasn't free reign on the TV. There wasn't free reign on phones if you had them. It was very like regimented. There even were times when you were growing up where we like had you do a chore for some TV time, or you had to like shovel the driveway for Mario Kart. You know, we did that. But when COVID hit, we couldn't do that anymore because we were all stuck here and you guys couldn't leave. The only person that was leaving was me to go to the grocery store. Your only connection to other kids, because you were a freshman in high school when all that happened, I guess it started the end of your 8th grade year. I sometimes think about like what would our household look like if we didn't go through that, because we were much more regimented on what we allowed you to do. But it's hard to pull the reins back on that once we opened up that. Alex graduated and then Seb now graduated last year. But I guess back to the original question, what do you see the influence of social media on your peers?
I don't think it's good.
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen it in me mostly. Like, it's hard for me to just be like, oh, this person. I don't think often about how social media.
No, for sure.
It's a very good question. But I think it was to talk about the COVID a little bit. I know this is where I'm going off.
No, that's fine.
I think that right now it's a lot. I think it was valuable for us, like right now, especially me. I'm figuring out like I don't want to be on social media all the time. I don't want to be watching YouTube. Like people are the most important thing. Like my English teacher was talking to me. People make things have emotions, you know. This is just, he showed us this book and he was like, this is a book, right? We start reading this book and you're like, oh, I like this book. Oh, I don't like this book. You're attaching an emotion to that book. It's just a bunch of pieces of paper. Right. You know? So it's all about people. It's hard for me to like look back on the things I've done and just realize like how much I've wasted. Because I look at my screen time, you know.
We all have that. Exactly. Yeah.
And it just hurts. But then I still get on Brawl Stars and I play a game, you know, and I still do this and I do these, I waste my time, you know. But so I think it was valuable in that sense where now I have to learn how to do it by myself, because when I'm in college it's like I'm gonna have to manage all my own time, right? You know. And I think if COVID hadn't happened, I feel like you guys would have kept with you get an hour a day, whatever, right? And maybe I would have kept that in college and been like, oh, I get an hour a day, or I would have just gone bonkers. Exactly. So I think that it was probably a good thing. Yeah. In that sense, like if I can get a positive thing out of COVID. For sure. Yeah, that's hard. But yeah, I think overall with like my peers, it's definitely changed everyone's social lives. It's just ingrained in us now, which is kind of frustrating, because it's like I'll think about lunch like in middle school, how it was so loud and it was like, oh my gosh, like I got a detention once. I'm mad because they were getting attention. And I went down to the lunch detention area, which was in the back office. And I was like, this is so nice. So quiet. Because it was quiet. Yeah. And now in lunch, like these days, it's like a dull roar because everyone's just on their phones. And it just, I don't know, it just sucks. Like now I've found myself just like telling myself I need to just leave my phone at the classroom, you know, when I go and I eat lunch or whatever it is, you know. To
engage with the people who are at your table.
That's what lunch is supposed to be about. It's like our recess in high school, you know. For
sure. Yeah.
And it's like you're building those relationships with people. You need to learn how to talk to people. And I feel like that's a big struggle with a lot of people.
For sure.
Is, I can text so good, I can whatever, you know, I can Snapchat. But reaching out to somebody who's sitting in the corner, who's like, you know, crying or whatever, it's like, that's so difficult. That's very challenging. But it's especially challenging if you've been told all your life that it's okay to just text people.
Right.
And I think that's awful because then those people go unnoticed. The people who need friends, who need to be included, those people are just turning to social media.
Right.
You know, and then it's just this big thing of the people who are ignoring them are just getting back on social media again. And then the people who are getting ignored just get on social media.
Yeah.
So it's like this crutch that's just holding people up.
That's a really good like image, I think, too. And the thing that I don't like about social media, well, two things. One, it's the best of it's the best of everything, so it's everybody's perfect life, which does not exist. But also then if they're like, let's say I have friends that they decide to go out without me and not invite me, and they post it on social media, then I feel bad that I didn't get invited. And I start to go, well, because that's happened. Why didn't I get invited? What's wrong with me? Why don't they like me? Blah, blah, blah. And so there's a lot of downfalls. I think it's interesting that you would say, because I think that a lot of adults can't see what you're seeing. I think we're very much ingrained in social media as well. I think whether it's old Facebook or whatever, I felt like I just took a trip to the DR in Dominican Republic in June, and I really felt like the Lord said, like, you're missing people. Like, you're missing people because you are spending so much time on social media, and some of it's work, but a lot of it isn't. And it's like I've had to pull back on that because I don't want us to be all sitting in the living room all on our phones, not talking to each other. It's, you know, now less than a year and you're probably going to be off to college. You know, Seb is almost in the Navy and Alex has gone to college. I don't want to miss the moments that we have as a family because I'm on my phone, you know? And so I think it's interesting because I don't know that most adults would have that perspective that you have on social media. So I think that's really interesting.